Sam telling the passengers that he swears on his life that he's going to get all of them off of that train doesn't mean as much when three people have already died. But good message, Sam. Rah rah. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood already did it. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The 8th episode of Hijack is here. It's called Terminal. This is an episode that has a lot of things happening in it, and it's the finale. It's the final episode, but there are so many strings that they have to tie up that a lot of things are like, well, why did we even spend time on this story if it led to nothing? I'll get into my thoughts of the whole series on the back end, but let's talk about this episode. First story that doesn't really lead to anything is the beginning with Officer Beck. Beck is talking to Marco in the car after the arrest on the plane from the last episode, and he's just like, "Look, give me the information. Give me who you're working for." And Marco has nothing. Marco doesn't say, "I don't know who I'm working for." Even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. But I can't defuse the bomb because there's a override system, a master override that exists. So you did all this for naught. Which, as a viewer, you're like, "Why did we do this?" I get it in the form of like, hey, we need to see if there's a way or a story thread where someone can possibly disarm this bomb away from this. But I feel like that story could have been done off the screen, and we didn't need to spend 20 minutes to 15 minutes almost in every episode digging into that story for it to not really lead anywhere. Because this is the only time outside of a shot to just look at him at the end that we even bring up Beck. That's it. And then we continue on with the rest of the show. Olivia finally makes contact with Sam. Reminds you this whole time, this whole episode, Olivia's been in control, but she's never actually reached out to Sam. There's never been a conversation. She calls Sam to let him know, like, hey, I have a message from Marsha. And she plays the recorded message. Now, if you remember, that recorded message ended with Marsha trying to say, hey, I got to get off the phone, got to get to safety. So Sam's like, well, hold on. Is she safe? And Olivia's like, we are working on it. We can't confirm. That's not good enough for Sam. So Sam's like, cool, we got to power on. We're going to continue to do what it is that we need to do. Through the machine, the phone that was given to him at the end of the last episode, Stewart makes a call out to Robert. He is on this walk that he gets to have at this prison and finds blind spots or not blind spots. He kind of just makes the call right out in the open, and the security just is terrible at this prison. But he makes a call out to Robert to be like, hey, what the hell's happening? You don't have anything out of control. And Robert's like, nope, I got it all. Everything's going as planned. It will occur, even if I have to get them on the train myself. This will happen. Robert does say that, hey, look, I can just blow the train now, right now. So it's clear that Stewart doesn't have a detonator. He can't make the call. Only Robert can, but Stewart has his thumb on Robert. So that's kind of how this is working. Robert's like, look, I can blow the train right now. And he's like, no. I want Bailey Brown on that train. Like, absolutely. You can, once he's on it and once all three of you on, I don't care, blow it to hell. But I need that with the two of them on there. That's Stewart's goal, is to kill them both. I do think it's an important piece because Olivia brings it up. The media that is surrounding this handoff, they're all there. They're all absconded upon this place. Robert sort of put them in place. Olivia brings up the fact that, like, hey, is this the best case to just give a person what they want? Even though we know that Sam's on the up and up, we are still doing this for someone. And we're kind of giving hostage takers the ability to be like, hey, you can become infamous on if you do this and do get your demands met. And Winter's like, you're not wrong. So let's work on trying to shut some of that media down, which I thought was going to be a story thread, but they never really go back to it. She sends her number 2 there on site, but nothing really gets done to stay cameras back up. So not sure why that was really brought. It's a true point. Don't negotiate with hostage folks, but it never really leads to anything else. Some of it's because it's muddy because Sam is the person who's being the hostage taker, and they know that he's not the one behind all of it. We see shots of air rescue going to find Marsha, but they've been circling around for a while and they have no read on her. They can't find her. Also, because they can't find her, the two neighbors that want to kill her with the dogs, they also can't find her, and so Marsha's kind of on the run to try to figure out a way to get them some type of a signal to be seen. I do feel like when we get to the back end of this is the story that I'm like, this got stretched out. Like the whole Marshall Pete, even from a couple episodes when she didn't get in the car, this all feels like this was done just to keep Sam on the hook until the very end of the end of the series. And I feel like there were things that could have been done throughout the series that Marshall could have done better, or that would have gotten her off of that out of that situation faster. Outside of the fact that we needed her to be parallel with the Sam story, so that he can still be under the thumb of Robert slash Stewart. Winter and Olivia and them find out Jess's real name. Her name is Mona, and she is a medical officer, but she was a medical officer for combat. So she was a medical officer for the military, and she has a tattoo of the foxhole, which was the bar that Sam met the other gentleman at. And what we find out is that it's a military hangout, it's a military bar. So they can deduce that the people that are behind all of this are all military affiliated. It's a mercenary group that is doing this, and that's behind all of this. And so they now have to figure out who is tagged as a mercenary with them to sort of get under the hood of who this is. Sam did everything he could to try to point them toward that direction by giving them that foxhole note earlier. It's clever, but it's a little late because Jess is now dead, so they can't kind of ask Jess, like, so who do you work for? Because they shot her to death. Olivia then updates Faber about their new findings and say, hey, there's somebody who has military ties that is attached to all of this. But even though they know Sam is not the one responsible, they still plan to put Bailey Brown on that train. That's still the goal. That's still what everything is sort of leaning towards. With everything that they've sort of found out, Winter sort of starts inferring that the person who's being the mole may be coming from Faber's office. She doesn't so much say it to Faber. She just says it in talking to Olivia, but Faber's on a journey to kind of find this missing person that ends up leading to finding out who's behind it all. It's a weird game that like something has to happen before something else happens. When we'll talk about it. As the train arrives to the station, Sam delivers a message to the passengers just to say, "Hey, stay calm. Stay calm. Listen to my voice. Listen to me. Do as I say, and we will all get out of here safe." And then that's when he says, "Like I swear on my life that I'm going to get you guys all off of here." What they have to believe off of that, other than maybe when he let off the other passengers, and I think that's why Sam did that, is to sort of show good faith. But before that, there's not a lot that Sam has done that allows them to be like, "Oh, yeah, I 100% believe in this guy," as opposed to a little bit of what happened with the plane. I think of the last season, one, because there's far less passengers on the plane, but I just think he had a better sense of camaraderie with the passengers. Part of it because he wasn't also the hostage taker. Where here, there's really no connection. So we don't get to see a lot of Sam's negotiating and talking out of situations in this season in comparison to last season, which I think was his strength. He's never been like the John McClane diehard, like, I'm not going to fight my way out of it. I'm going to talk my way out of it. And with the exception of some of his conversations with Control, that doesn't happen so much with the passengers. It happens with Control, and it happens a little bit with Robert. So Sam's ready. They're at the station. They're ready to make this handoff. He talks to Otto, and Otto comes clean. He's like, "Look, I'm not like you. I wasn't put in this situation by being pressured or whatnot. I chose to be here because they paid me a lot of money to do so." And he feels bad about it. He feels guilty about it in comparison to like Sam, who is here because they have something of him. He's like, I wasn't pressured into it. I took the money. And Sam's like, "Look, you're all right with me." He doesn't come out and say it, but he's like, "Look, you saved a lot of people's lives here. You saved lives. So whatever the reason you're here, however you got here, is irrelevant to me. You're okay in my book." So Otto kind of feels like, okay, all right, some of the pressure that I had is taken off because Sam, he believes in Sam enough to be like, oh, Sam believes in me. Cool. There's, again, Sam's sort of talking and talking people up helps out Otto in the scenario. Before the complete handoff, Sam checks in with with control one more time, like, hey, is there any word on Marcia? And they're like, no, there's not. But that doesn't stop him. He's prepared to let these folks off the train. Daniel goes back to the police station and checks in with the security guard, just like, hey, look, has there been anything happening with Stewart? Have you been watching him? He's getting messages out. We don't know how, but there's something happening here. And that guard goes to do an what do you call it, unplanned pat down on Stewart before he goes back to his bunk, and Stewart has enough time to give his phone to the guard that gave him the phone in the first place to sort of hold it while he gets patted down, and then gives it back to him once he's back in his cell. But he's cleared. He's fine. He's back in his cell with his phone, and he has a TV. I don't know what kind of prison this is that has TVs inside the jail. Like, someone's gonna have to correct me. It's like, is that a typical thing in Germany? Because that seems like that's a plot point, other than like that actually happening. I've never seen a show where they have TVs ingrained in the cell with them. Like, I know if they go to a mess hall, if they go to a break room or something like that, they may have TVs there. This is news to me, and it feels like it's just for the story. Another piece that's just for the story. I could be wrong. I've never visited a jail, thank God, specifically a German jail. So I don't know, but it just feels odd that that's the case. So we're at the train station. Sam starts telling the passengers, like, look, I need you guys to get off the train one by one in a single file line. He talks to Otto one last time, like, Otto, I need you to do me one last favor before it's all said and done. You're going to be the passenger that sort of leads them. They're all going to kind of go to you and then get off the train and go to the police. So he gives them that, and they start making their way off the train. One by one, they all start heading off the train. Otto's standing at the front of the train, and he sees Robert, John Bailey Brown, and then the other transport guard there chatting. The other guard gets pulled off, and Robert and Bailey Brown start sort of kind of arguing. Bailey Brown is like, this doesn't seem on the up and up. Something's off here. I can't quite make it out, but something's not right with this entire situation. They're far enough back outside of the blast radius, so that's where they're positioned. But Otto's sort of getting a good look at him and seeing that there's a bit of a confrontation happening between the two of them. So the last passenger, May, gets off the train, and then Otto goes back on the train, even though he was supposed to leave. He cares enough about Sam, like, hey, I did say I'm going to get every single passenger off of this train, and Sam, you're one of them. So he goes back to Sam and tells Sam, like, something's wrong. Like, I don't know why they're fighting, but it doesn't look like Bailey Brown wants to be on this train. Because it's the thought of Otto and Sam is that Bailey Brown wants to be on this to escape. This is showing that something else is happening. And then in that, Sam sees Robert, who he knows is the person that was making all the calls to Jess or Mona to put all this in motion. So Sam and Otto have to deduce a plan real quick because they know something's not on the up and up with all of this. Faber finds the dead transport officer and immediately is like, puts two and two together. He starts deducing things and figuring things out. He then gets a call to Olivia, who lets him know that it's Robert, but it's already too late. By that point in time, Olivia and Winter see Robert and Bailey Brown making their way onto the train. And so game's afoot. They're on the train. All four of them are on that train at that point. Robert and Brown get on the train, and Robert uncuffs Bailey Brown and then cuffs him to the train. So he is stuck. He can't go anywhere. He's stuck to the pole in the middle of the thing of the train. And then the train takes off. Closes the doors and the train starts moving. And Olivia and Winter back in control are like, wait, what the hell is he doing? And Olivia is like, he's smart. It's a smart play because he believes that if Robert is the person who's in control of the trigger with the detonator, he's not going to blow himself up with the train moving. And so it's a smart play. Train starts moving. Robert starts searching through the train for Sam. He goes to the back and he doesn't find him in one of the carts where it looks like it's moving. It looks like it's going automatically, but Sam doesn't seem to be visible. So then Robert comes back to the other side, finds Otto, starts threatening him, and he shoots Brown in the leg once. That's important for bullet count. And then Sam reveals himself to the back of the train, like, you were on the right track, you just missed me. And then he starts firing off a bunch of more bullets to once his clip is empty. So he has no more bullets in his gun. I'll buy that. Sure. I do think most police officers carry a second clip or another clip with them, but sure, I'll take that. He then pulls out his detonator. I was like, look, I'm gonna blow us all up. And Sam's like, nah, I don't think you will. I'm gonna call your bluff. I don't believe you'll do that. I don't think you have the balls to go ahead and do that. But I do have a proposition for you. Here's what I propose that you do: kill me, kill Brown, and then let Marsha go. Like once you do that, do those things, we'll be on the up and up. And Robert's like, no, and he starts to text, finish it to the two neighbors who are watching Marsha. And Sam's like, nah, I kind of figured you would say that. And he nods and gives a signal to Otto, who then stops the train abruptly. Once again, it sends Robert flying forward. He loses the detonator. And then Robert and Sam start tussling a little bit. Otto is told to just leave, but he can't just leave Sam behind. And so he goes to help Sam. Robert gets the upper hand on Sam. He leaves with the detonator, and then Sam and Otto are there together. Robert leaves off the back of the train. Before I get on to what happened next, I didn't mention it. Sam learns that John Bailey Brown had nothing to do with the killing of his son. He learned that Robert and Stewart put that in his head so that he would do all of this. So all of this, he was a puppeteer. John Bailey Brown had nothing to do with it. They were both puppets in that piece of it. So Robert gets off the train. While this is happening, it's happening side by side. They keep cutting to it, which does lessen a bit of the tension in the main scenes. But Marsha is setting a fire where she's at to sort of get the air control people to have a signal or a spot to come see where she's at. That also signals to the neighbors where she's at. And so she's kind of in a time where she needs the air rescue to come get to her before the neighbors do. So that's happening as a side story to what's happening on the train. Robert's off the train, and then as soon as he gets off the train, he runs off a little bit, gets out of the blast radius, and then he detonates it and blows up the train, presumably killing both Sam and Otto. While the train's blown up, air rescue makes it closer and closer. The neighbors, you start hearing the dogs while Marsha's in the home, so that's happening all at the same time. So then Rob calls Stewart. While Stewart is watching all of this on his television, and then gets a call, and he has to kind of take the call, but on the slide because he's aware of where the cameras are in his bunk. But that guard who watched him earlier or patted him down earlier is still keeping an eye on him. So he kind of gets off to the signal. He is not able to visually see him on the phone, but he kind of puts headphones on to sort of hear what's happening on in that bunk. And in that, he hears the conversation between Robert and Stewart, where Robert's like, "Look, it's done. They're both dead." Stewart confirms it. But Robert is asking, like, I need an escape plan. I need an escape plan and more money because they know that I am the one who did this. I'm burned. You got to get me out of here. This is all being heard. So then that guard lets Daniel know, and they listen in on the call, then record the call. They got him dead to rights. Stewart's burned. Stewart's caught. We then see Otto and Sam have made it off the train, and Sam starts chasing behind, laying on foot. And they get to a point where pretty much a bridge, where then they are both held at gunpoint to told to get down on their knees and put their hands up. Sam does it immediately. Sam does it. Robert does not. Robert keeps his hands up. But he keeps moving. He keeps making movements. And they're like, look, if you make one more move, we're going to shoot you. And his phone starts ringing. And Robert asks him, like, do you know who that is? And Sam's like, I got a pretty good idea. Yeah. And Robert's like, he's not going to stop. He's never going to give up on this, on getting his revenge. And Sam's like, well, I'm all that's left. So he's going to have to come directly after me. To which then he eventually does try to answer the phone, and they shoot him dead. Dead to rights. We then see that Daniel goes in to arrest Stewart. And he says, like, look, I want to let you know that both Sam and Marsha are safe. And the only thing that you are destroying is your family, basically your family's legacy. Congrats on that. And then Stewart screams out, I'll get you next time, type of stuff. And then Olivia brings Sam his phone. He's like, this belongs to you. And then he's like, you need to call. And she gives him the okay and say that Marsha is fine and go ahead and give her a call. And so she calls, and then he just says, I'm here. And that's how the season ends. Decent. It's a decent closeout of this. I significantly like series 1 better than season 2. A lot of it is because it allowed Sam to be more in his element of controlling some of the passengers and talking and doing this stuff. This one, he was sort of always behind the gun, which is fine because this was a revenge story for Stewart. I think for me that there was just way too many things that had to be tied up and that didn't lead to anywhere, or that were done or stretched out just to serve the purposes of making sure that everything happened in real time with um, the finale. And like, there are things in this episode that feel like they're so spaced out or time wise. Like Stewart makes the phone call to Robert in the, I don't know, I guess the yard is where he's doing it. Several scenes happen. It feels like they're happening. It's just like a lot of time has passed. And then eventually we get time where Daniel has enough time to arrive at the police station and Stewart is just making his way back to his cell. I feel like that should have happened quicker. It just, for me as a whole, I think there were so many things to try to tie up and put together and make sure that they happen at the same time for this episode that it felt like a lot of these things were perfunctory and we're doing it because we need to serve the story as opposed to, hey, this is the story and we're gonna figure everything else out. Beck, I didn't need to have any of the bomb stuff. Marsha, I think we could have gotten there in a different way or get her off the board. But stretching that story out, it didn't need to go the way that it did. But I will say, watching, I think the sweet spot of this season has been the connection between Sam and Otto. I think they are what sort of was the driving point for me for this season, and learning that Otto was paid and then sort of became a hero out of guilt, out of feeling like, hey, I'm not in the same boat as you. And now you can look at all the longing looks that he had. It's like, we got to do this for Marsha. What about Marsha? He cared more because Sam had something to lose, where he's like, I just did this for the money. And now I got somebody here who's doing this for more. Um, it sounds like they at least have put the seedlings for a third season in here because it sounds like Stewart's never going to sort of give up or let up. I don't know what hole they put him in that he's going to be able to still connect with the outside world. Although, hey, if you give him a TV, who knows what he's capable of. But I would be perfectly fine, I think, if the season or series stopped here, because then it starts becoming the Die Hard syndrome, where you're like, okay, we put them on a plane, we put them on a train. What's next? A boat. It's like what vehicle can we do next? I think you have to be severely creative. Maybe a building. Go the reverse way and do like Die Hard instead of put them in a tower at that point. But um, I dig it. It was fun for the moment that it is, but I think we have sort of completed the run of what we need to get out of Hijack. And I think Idris, as good of an actor is, I don't know if a third season would do anybody any favors for what we have with Sam Nelson. So what do you guys think about this episode of Hijack Season 2? And what did you guys think about the season as a whole? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI, or you can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.